Bruce Wayne is only in his second year of being Gotham's caped crusader. He soon finds himself in a tangled web of lies and riddles led by the new serial killer, the Riddler. This is the latest adaptation of the DC hero, the Batman. Okay, yeah, this mask bit I have isn't going to work for the whole video. Maybe good for the intro, not anything else. The Batman is the latest adaptation of the famous DC hero. Remember, it's the Batman, like it was the Suicide Squad. For some reason, DC likes titling their movies like that now. I don't quite get it, but it does seem to be making some really solid films in the process. To be quite honest, I was a bit worried with the new Batman reboot. I was just thinking, why do we need this? There are so many heroes DC could make movies about that they just haven't yet. And I'm just thinking, why? But the one thing that always had my attention was Matt Reeves as the director. The guy makes some amazing movies. The dude literally made Planet of the Apes awesome. And if I had any faith in this movie, it was because of him. And luckily, that paid off. Ben Affleck is out and Robert Pattinson is in, playing the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. I think Robert Pattinson delivers an amazing performance as Batman. His mere presence is probably the most menacing of a presence Batman has ever had on screen. Just the way he moves and the way he just emotes without really emoting, because Batman's a very, not say emotionless character, a very stoic character. I think that's a good word for it. All of that just makes for a very compelling character to watch and a very compelling performance to watch. I'm all on board with the franchise with him as the new Batman. What's Batman without his rogues gallery of villains, though? I'd say arguably the main villain of the film is Paul Dano as the Riddler. But with that gimp mask, I prefer to call him the Diddler. My jokes aside, I think Paul Dano does a great job as the Riddler. I think he delivers a fantastic and haunting performance at times. And to be honest, there are times when he is unmasked that I think makes for a more compelling villain to watch than with the mask. Facial expressions really make a character, especially a villain, for me. Another villain of the film is Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And to be honest, I do wish we were in the Jonah Hill Penguin timeline, but oh well, that never came to fruition. It is what it is. I will say, though, Colin Farrell does a really good job in this film. He just delivers a really entertaining performance as this character, on top of delivering some really solid jokes, too, throughout the film that really made me laugh. I was really surprised to see that in a Batman movie. Jokes. Who would have thought? Also, the makeup he has for the Penguin looks really good. Had you not told me that was Colin Farrell, I would have believed you, because he doesn't even sound like Colin Farrell either. And last, but certainly not least, is Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, aka Selina Kyle. To be honest, she's not really a villain of the movie. She is portrayed more of an anti-hero and does help Batman along the way. I feel her character worked really well against Robert Pattinson's Batman. I think the story that they both have and the both character traits that they have and the both morals that they have really clashed well, and they both kind of enlighten each other into their own world, and it showed two sides of the same coin. As I mentioned, Matt Reeves is a great director, and I had great faith in him making an awesome Batman movie, and he really did deliver here. The idea of toning the Riddler down to a bit more of a realistic character might be jarring to some, especially those accustomed to Jim Carrey's adaptation of the character. I get that, but ultimately I feel it worked for the movie they were doing, and it made for some really intense and scary scenes, no less. I'm like, there's some damn near horror movie stuff in this film. The story that goes along with the serial killer plotline is just so well written and well crafted. There's so many cool twists and turns that it takes that you won't really care that it's not, Jim Carrey jumping around in a green onesie. You can almost consider him as his own character, separate from any Riddlers we've had in the past. And I appreciate that a lot. There is one character in the film who I don't think is in the trailer, so I'm not going to, go too deep into it or tell you who they are, obviously. But I do feel they are the cause to making this film 3 hours long. This character has so many connections to so many of the characters in this film. It was like I was watching a Star Wars sequel. Like, is there anyone else in this film I need to know who knows each other? Like, what's going on? It was so funny to me. I feel this B plot, that's what I'm going to call it, could have been slimmed down a bit and maybe even gotten away from that 3-hour runtime. I just don't think this character is as interesting as the other characters in the film, and I just felt it kind of bogged it down a bit for me. Maybe on a repeat viewing, I might like it a little bit more, but on a first viewing, I was just a bit sour on that plot element. For as well made and well shot and well acted and well scored this film is, I do feel it's a bit safe. Now, don't take that the wrong way. Safe movies are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can still make something great out of a safe movie. Look at what we had of Batman between The Dark Knight Rises and this film. We had him punching Superman and Steppenwolf and a bunch of other super-powered beings, and apparently no one liked that enough for Warner Brothers to want to continue with that. I noticed that with this film going kind of goes back to the basics with the Christopher Nolan. It's just very apparent to me that DC and Warner Brothers just doesn't have the confidence to put Batman in a very comic booky realm for a movie. And again, I'm not saying the film's bad. I think the film is very entertaining and very, exciting and just very good. But at the same time, I do recognize that I'm like, I don't want Batman to only be delegated to grounded stories and grounded characters. I think Batman has such a awesome rogues gallery of villains. To limit themselves to only villains that can exist in a real world environment is kind of foolish in my opinion. And I just hope somewhere down the line, this iteration of Batman, maybe I'd prefer that, would, branch open into that, like pull in Clayface and Killer Croc and Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy, do them. I think that'd be so cool. No pun intended. I just don't want another overly grounded universe for Batman. And no, I'm not trying to say I want the films to become silly or over the top. I'm not saying that at all. You can handle villains like these and put them in a serious tone. There's nothing inherently wrong with that at all. But limiting yourself to a grounded reality really loses what makes Batman cool, to me at least. You can make these films as serious as you want. I just want to see them do, some more interesting villains than just rehash the things that we've already seen. You can easily tell a grounded story for Mr. Freeze. No problem. I guarantee it. I just don't want them to limit themselves to grounded characters, or worse yet, make characters who are a bit more comic booky into, grounded characters. They did something like that with Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and, it was okay, but I just couldn't imagine Poison Ivy getting a grounded adaptation and it being at all faithful to the character. To me, when Batman takes on the likes of Killer Croc or Clayface or even Bane, that's cool because they're these larger-than-life villains that he's just taken on because he has sheer willpower and he's not even a Green Lantern. And I just want to see these villains get adapted to the screen against Batman someday. And maybe this isn't the franchise for it, but I don't care. I'm just going to be hopeful, or at the very least, we can see some other villains who could maybe work in a grounded environment that we haven't seen on screen yet. I'd be okay with that too. In the end, I have to say, The Batman is an excellent Batman movie. It delivers an amazing Batman story along with some great performances and soundtrack. Oh my God, the score for this movie was so good. In the end, I just have to say it's a great film, albeit a safe one. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't watch a sequel. I'm absolutely there. I think Matt Reeves did an amazing job with this film. It's one of those films that I just think the sequel can only be better. As of now, I think the film we have is great and well worth your time watching. Before we go, let me ask you a question. What Batman villain would you like to see get introduced in this new franchise? Bonus points if they haven't been in a movie yet. For me, I'd love to see Killer Moth be a villain in a Batman movie, but keep his super colorful outfit, but make no mention of it throughout the entire movie. I think that would be perfect. If you like this review, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next video drops. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway telling you to keep it cinematic.